Welcome to the News 9 Mediaverse, and you are watching On Point. I have 9 on points in this edition. The first on point is about Sonia Gandhi, accusing Prime Minister Narendra Modi of financially crippling Congress. And for the first time, after so many years, Sonia Gandhi came to Congress office, and that too in the press room, sat with the president of the Congress party and addressed the press conference. And it was also rare for both Rahul and Sonia to be together. It was a very rare moment. Sonia Gandhi said, Prime Minister Modi is trying to cripple Congress financially. Now the question is it vendetta or normal course of action taken by the law of the land? Congress accused the ruling dispensation of crippling them. BJP responded to the Congress accusation, but we will discuss that later in the show. In the studio, I am joined by my input editor, Brijesh Pandey, KV Prasad, senior journalist, Jayant Bhattacharya, senior journalist. But before that, let me take you through the accusation made by the Congress. Actually, what did they say first? That's the most important part. Congress accusation. 200 crore in 11 accounts frozen because of 14.49 lakh cash donation. The cash component was just 0.07% of total donation. Punishment was 106%. Accounts frozen 3 weeks before poll announcement for donation made in 2017-18. These are the accusations made by Congress, provided by them. Let me be very clear. It prevented Congress from using its deposited amount of 285 crore. Notice also received from IT department for year 1993-1994 when Sitaram Kesri was the treasurer. BJP paralyzing Congress's ability to fight elections. BJP is violating level playing field and democracy. That's the charge of the Congress party. And most important of all, Sonia was there. So before I go even further, let me play out the bites of Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge.
This issue affects not just the Indian National Congress. It impacts our democracy itself most fundamentally. A systematic effort is underway by the Prime Minister to cripple the Indian National Congress financially. Funds collected from the public are being frozen, and money from our accounts is being taken away forcibly. However, even under these most challenging circumstances, we are doing our very best to maintain the effectiveness of our election campaign. On the other hand, the finances of the principal opposition party, the Indian National Congress, are under a determined assault. This, we all believe, is unprecedented and undemocratic.
Anybody in the country imagines what happens when your bank account, your ATM card, your entire financial identity is erased, right? You can imagine if it is done to a family, the family will starve to death. If it is done to a business, the business will be crippled, right? This is what has been done to the Congress party 1 month back. All our bank accounts have been frozen. We can do no campaign work. We cannot support our workers. We cannot support our candidates. Our leaders cannot fly from one part of the country to the other. Forget fly. They can't take a railway train. And this has been done literally 2 months before the election campaign. Why has it been done? One notice comes from the 90s. Another notice comes from 6-7 years ago. Quantum amount, 14 lakh rupees. And punishment, our entire financial identity. Right? What's interesting to me is that there are institutions in this country that are supposed to protect the democratic framework. There are the courts in the country, there's the election commission in the country, right? And nothing is happening. The election commission has not even said, wait a minute, you have frozen the bank account of the largest, of one of the biggest political parties, largest opposition in the country. And already our ability to fight the election has been damaged. We've already lost a month. As Markanji said, we are unable to get slots for advertising. We are unable to put ads in newspapers. And so what sort of a democracy is this? This is a criminal action on the Congress party. And it's a criminal action done by the Prime Minister and the Home Minister. It's very clear. This type of activity does not happen without them in today's India. You're being robbed of your most important asset. You're being robbed of your constitution, you're being robbed of your democratic structure, you're being robbed of the entire architecture, and everybody's just quiet.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जिस चुनावी चंदा बॉन्ड को इलीगल और अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल कहा, उस स्कीम के तहत मौजूदा सत्ताधारी दल ने हजारों करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा अपने अकाउंट में भर लिया है और दूसरी तरफ साजिशन मुख्य विपक्षी दल का बैंक अकाउंट फ्रीज कर दिया गया है ताकि हम पैसों के अभाव में बराबरी से चुनाव ना लड़े और ना लड़ पाए। ये सत्ताधारी दल द्वारा एक खतरनाक खेल है। इसके दूरगामी प्रभाव होंगे क्योंकि अगर डेमोक्रेसी को इस देश में बचाना है तो लेवल प्लेइंग ग्राउंड होना चाहिए। ऐसा भी नहीं होना चंद देशों में चुनाव हो रहे हैं, 99% वोट एक ही आदमी ले रहा है। राजनीतिक दल टैक्स नहीं देते, बीजेपी कभी इनकम टैक्स नहीं दी, लेकिन ये लागू सिर्फ कांग्रेस पे हो रहा है। कोई पॉलिटिकल पार्टी इनकम टैक्स के दायरे में नहीं आते, सच है ना? सेटल हो जाए। राजनीतिक दल नहीं आते, बीजेपी ने कभी नहीं दिया अकाउंट। इसके बाद भी अगर हमसे ये मांगा जा रहा है तो हम न्यायालय के अंतिम निर्णय का इंतजार कर रहे हैं।
I'm joined by KV Prasad, senior journalist, Jayant Bhattacharya, journalist, an old friend of mine, and Brijesh Pandey. Brijesh, do you think the law which is taking its own course, or as Sonia Gandhi said, it's the crippling of the main opposition party which is at the heart of this conversation?
Well, Karthikeya, honestly speaking, if you have a case against them and then, there is an income tax notice against you, you go to ITSAT, then you go to Delhi High Court to seek relief, and if you are being denied relief, you have to go through the procedure. There is no way you can say that, if a particular judgment has not come my way, then the judgment has to be faulty. There is nothing which the election commission can do in this particular scenario. I agree. This is the timing is the worst possible timing as far as the campaigning of Congress party is concerned, coming just a month before, couple of months before when the dates for elections were announced. The timing is of course, not good for the Congress party, but I think the relief has to come from either ITSAT or from the apex court where they they have gone, and 1st of April there is a hearing. But I think a lot of valuable time has definitely gone before the Supreme Court takes any particular decision on that. But courts have taken a decision. Delhi High Court has taken a decision. ITSAT, which is the appellate tribunal of income tax related cases, they have decided against the plea which has been sought by or relief which was sought by the Congress party. So there's law of the land and you have to abide by it, whether it goes in favor or against favor. So saying that, while saying that it is crippling us is absolutely correct. But to say that, that there are institutions, democratic institutions, which are allowing the murder of the democracy within courts, I think that's stretching it a bit too far.
Okay. Mr. Prasad,
Yeah, tell me.
so do you agree that, is it the Congress cribbing, or do you think that, they have been targeted here? The bank accounts frozen.
Well, the question is, as per law or as per the procedure, the income tax authorities must have moved it, and that is why whatever processes that have followed by the Congress party seem to have got no relief from the authorities and also probably from the court or whatever they've approached to. The process is on. Well, I think there is a question of timing which you raised in your opening statement. Well, I think the timing is definitely wrong for the Congress party. They are really on the back foot. One, of course, they're fighting in the midst of just about beginning of the election. So obviously they find hampered or reined in by the lack of finances or access to finances or whatever they have, right? So that is being the case. The Congress party, by coming out, today with all the Congress president flying by two former Congress president, obviously want to make a political point to kind of convey this message that, look, whatever is happening has some kind of there is some power behind, and that's why, in fact, they named the Prime Minister, they charged and accused the Prime Minister and his government to have been directly into it. So obviously it's a political gambit the Congress is taking, having been in a situation where they are right now, Karthikeyan.
I think that's a fair point, But this it's a very complex dynamic, I must say, because at one point, the Congress is cribbing. On the other hand, right now the ED team has reached Kejriwal's residence. So there are a lot of things which are happening. There are two different stories. Right now we are talking about the Congress party, but I would definitely like to say that on the issue of corruption or malpractices, Bharatiya Janata Party has taken a hard stand. Now there are a lot of people who are saying that Bharatiya Janata Party is taking, or government is taking a hard stand only against those who are part of the opposition. No hard stand is taking to the people who join Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, Kejriwal is another story altogether, because he has lost today, I would use the word immunity, but the safeguard, because he had approached the court and the court said, we are not going to get into it, because he wanted some sort of a protection, correct, Brijesh?
Well, he wanted interim protection against any kind of arrest before election gets over.
He wanted interim, that's what he wanted, interim protection before any sort of a protest. June. So, but then the larger story is about, the way BJP has positioned itself on the larger issue of corruption, and I would say that, apart from the Bharati politics, this will play a very, very important role. Jayanto also joined me. Jayanto, last time, when did you remember Sonia, Rahul, Mallikarjun Kharge sitting together? When was the last time that happened?
Yes, indeed. That really underlines the situation that the Congress is facing right now. The Congress president, flanked by the top two, on one side Sonia, on the other side Rahul, that indeed tells the story and the situation that the Congress party is right now going through. But at the same time, Karthikeyan, we also have to look here that they're talking about a level playing field. Is politics is all about that level or equality and all that? Hasn't it happened before also that there have been certain steps taken by the ruling composition against the opposition? It has happened earlier. It's one of those situations. But yes, taking into account the time that it has happened, to some extent, it says a few things, which they do have a point. But at the same time, they have said that they have already approached the correct authorities, that is the appellate tribunal, they have approached the court, and they have been told about their position. So here they want to go to the people. But here, Karthikeyan, talking about their problems, would it make any difference to the voters? Will they have that kind of a sudden sympathy wave that the Congress is trying to create? I don't think. It has given out a statement, perhaps, with the top three sitting together, along with the treasurer himself. So it does give out a kind of a statement, kind of the situation that the Congress is going through. But how far the common man in the country will look up to it, because it's there in the statement itself that we have approached the authorities and they have been told about their situation right now. So yes, on the one hand, it, as you rightly pointed out, the top echelons of the Congress sitting together sends out a message. But at the same time, how much it will matter, that has to be seen. Karthik.
But you know, BJP, I have to tell you, it's time for a short break, but BJP was not defensive. BJP slammed Rahul Gandhi and Ravi Shankar Prasad was deployed. He said these are baseless allegations. He said that facts are facts. He also slammed Rahul Gandhi for slandering the system and further added that it is not Congress bank account but the party that is frozen. That's the play of word. But let's listen into Ravi Shankar Prasad first.
आने वाले लोकसभा चुनाव में हार की हताशा में एक बहाना ढूंढा गया है. In utter desperation of imminent defeat, the Congress party at the highest level sought to create an alibi today. कुछ तो बोले. लेकिन उसमें कांग्रेस पार्टी का अकाउंट अगर फ्रीज किया गया है तो देश का अकाउंट फ्रीज किया गया है. ये तो कमाल है भाई. मुझे अपने जेपी मूवमेंट के आंदोलन के दिनों की याद आ गई. इंदिरा इज इंडिया, इंडिया इज इंदिरा. याद है ना? इमरजेंसी का दिन, जेपी की अगुवाई, कांग्रेस पार्टी की हार. आप सभी जानते हैं कांग्रेस पार्टी राजनीतिक रूप से सूख कर कांटा हो गई है. फिर भी कांग्रेस पार्टी का अकाउंट अगर फ्रीज हुआ तो देश का अकाउंट फ्रीज हुआ. मिस्टर राहुल गांधी, व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय दिस? डोंट इंसल्ट इंडियन डेमोक्रेसी. राहुल गांधी, भारत के लोकतंत्र को इस तरह से आप शर्मसार नहीं करें. ये देश आपकी पार्टी से बड़ा है, ये देश का लोकतंत्र आपसे बड़ा है. और आज इसी देश में आपने झूठ बोला है, गाली दी है और सब देश ने देखा है. टीवी पे चला है ना. तो आप झूठ बोल सकते हैं, गाली दे सकते हैं, देश सुन रहा है. आपको यह तक अधिकार है और करें देश का लोकतंत्र नहीं है. ये कौन सा तर्क है? लेकिन राहुल जी, सोनिया जी, आपको अगर देश की जनता वोट नहीं देती तो हम क्या करें? बीजेपी के राष्ट्रीय मंच से हम एक सवाल पूछना चाहेंगे. सोनिया जी, राहुल जी, अब खरगे जी से कितना पूछा जाए देखते हैं. आज भी तो उनका नंबर 3 ही था प्रायोरिटी में, हालांकि वो राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष हैं. अगर देश के लोग आपको वोट नहीं देते और आगे नहीं देने वाले हैं तो हम क्या करें? अगर राहुल गांधी की यह अपेक्षा है कि भाजपा के मित्र उनके लिए कैंपेन करें तो ये तो हम करने वाले हैं नहीं, क्योंकि उनका तो स्टॉक मार्केट इतना गड़बड़ाया हुआ है. और आज मैं कांग्रेस के लोगों को एक बात कहना चाहूंगा. हम भी चाहते हैं कि विपक्ष के रूप में कांग्रेस पार्टी पनपे. कितना पनपे उनका विषय है, लेकिन कांग्रेस पार्टी अब समझे कि जब जब राहुल गांधी से मुंह खुलवाएंगे तब तक स्टॉक मार्केट का और गिरेगा. देयर इज अ जेंटल एडवाइस टू द कांग्रेस पार्टी. We wish you well, but realize now the more you allow Rahul Gandhi to speak, the more you are losing the ground in the country. अभी आप सोच लीजिए.
Mr. Prasad, there is also one thing which I think should be brought to the notice of the public. There is also a notice on the 1993-1994, and if I am not wrong, Sitaram Kesri was the treasurer then?
Yeah, I think Mr. Kesri exited around 96, 97 when Narasimha Rao stepped down as a Congress president, and Mr. Kesri was made, and then I think Motilal Vora came in for a while, and then Ahmed Patel also was there. So this was, but yeah, you're right. At that point of time, it was Mr. Kesri probably. And if you remember, of course, anybody can open accounts anytime. If the tax authorities or enforcement people have some information on which they have doubt, they can very well open those pages and seek information or seek clarification. So I think on that point, and remember, all said and done, the authorities would have made their whatever they have raised issues or whatever doubts they have raised or whatever queries they have raised on issues they have gone to frozen accounts, as the Congress has said many a time. obviously they would follow the rule book. They will follow the text which is they're supposed to follow because it has to find scrutiny in a court of law eventually, or wherever the appellate authorities exist. So to that extent, it looks very clear as far as I see it, Karthikeyan.
So Jayanto, you think that this is not going to go anywhere? The stay is going to be there because it's a legal matter? It's not going to go anywhere?
Yes, indeed, it's a legal matter and it will continue the way they have taken. The Congress has taken it up with the authorities, and obviously it will go on in that way itself. They have to make that proper official approach, and they have done it. But yes, once again, I have to say that this timing, of course, may have raised a few eyebrows, and the BJP, it's not only Ravi Shankarji, of course, he did the official press conference, but other BJP leaders have also reacted to the press conference today. But these may not be enough to pull down the eyebrows. So that also will remain there. But as things stand right now, they cannot, if they have thrown the book, they will go by the book, as Prasad rightly pointed out. So it has to go by the book, and let's see what happens after that, Karthikeyan.
You know, when we are talking about this story, the accusation of the Congress party, it also tells us that how in absence of funding, Congress will be in no position to fight the elections.
Well, yes, of course. I mean, that's a given. The fact of the matter is that the reason why you saw Sonia, Rahul and Mallikarjun Kharge sitting on one dais, a thing which is, I don't even remember when was the last time it happened. It indicated to the severity of the situation. The fact is that the Congress is reeling under fund crunch. The fact is that the Congress has approached the authorities. What is ironical is that right now there is nothing which they can do about it. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear this matter on 1st of April, which is like, very close to the first phase of election of 2024. When you're fighting a BJP's juggernaut, as also said by Ravi Shankar Prasad, that, if you have an exemption under IT Act, political parties do have, but then they have to file their ITR every single year. If you don't file an ITR for a month, then that exemption goes, that protection cover goes. I think, the Congress, they say that this was in 2020-21 and the Congress should have fought the election. I think whatever happened, this was something which they clearly didn't bargain for, and it couldn't have come at a worst possible time for the Congress party, which is battling, inner party dissatisfaction, friction with their, other alliance partners, and in middle of all this, the biggest blow.
There is one more thing which I would like to bring this to everyone's attention. In middle of it, Rahul Gandhi again chose to address the Shakti issue. I have to come to this issue because, this discussion, this part cannot end without getting back at, that despite focusing on the issue of the frozen bank accounts, Rahul Gandhi again came back to Shakti. Let's play that bite.
हमारी असुर्रा शक्ति से लड़ाई हो रही है, ठीक है? नफरत भरी असुर्रा शक्ति, हमारी असुर्रा शक्ति से लड़ाई हो रही है, ठीक है? नफरत भरी असुर्रा शक्ति.
Okay, so basically a demonic power, that's what Rahul Gandhi said, but I still think he didn't get that right, correct?
Well, he didn't get right, and
the pronunciation.
It's good to be, you have to be consistent with your ideas, but you also have to realize or be pragmatic enough when to realize that what you're insisting on is not working for you. Whether you call him Asura Shakti or whether you said, you make a gaffe and then, when opponents try to take advantage of it, then you try to portray yourself as the victim. It doesn't work like that. And had it been the first gaffe or the second gaffe or the third gaffe, people would have still been, lenient, as people have been for a very long time. I mean, these kind of utterances, it's like, taking the entire narrative of the election some 30-40 years back. I mean, it doesn't wash right now. You have to have a counter narrative against Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and you can give him a fight for his money. People have.
Look at Mamta, look at Arvind Kejriwal. But there's another thing. You are having a fight for the money. Mr. Prasad, there are ED officials inside Kejriwal's house. You have DCP North there
with the entire force.
With the entire force. And you have Hemant Soren already.
No, that can work. That works, Karthikeyan.
So let me ask you, wouldn't that create some sort of a public furor, counter pressure? ये क्या हो रहा है? सारे के सारे opposition के लोग या तो पैसा बंद हो रहा है या जेल के पीछे जा रहे हैं. ये भी तो हो सकता है. Let me be the devil's advocate.
Yeah, well, Karthikeya, there is a distinct possibility that such a feeling might creep in at some point of time. But let us get this thing. The way it has come out, the whole attempt is to fortify this perception that corruption is at a stage, and the BJP, as you said in one of the points, that wants to work to eradicate or crack down on this corruption in political system. That's the way they have been campaigning for the last several years, and every attempt or every move or every authority movement in this direction is to try and tackle this menace and or this scourge political corruption. That's one aspect. The second is I'm sure, even if to presume that there was some political understanding or the political party would, at this point of time, surely would have factored a kind of, if at all, a sympathy that could be generated not just by inside the supporters of the Aam Aadmi Party or Congress, but some of those undecided or those who are on the fringes and suddenly say, "Hey, what's happening? What's all going on?" So there is this thing, but I'm sure a political party like the Bharatiya Janata Party, knowing very well for the way they are
Mr. Prasad,
meticulous, immaculate in their calculations.
I
So
don't
I'm
know
sure
what's,
they will factor it.
I really don't know what's going to happen, but one thing is for sure that the corruption issue is here to stay. You know, this freezing of the bank is a corruption issue. Hemant Soren became a corruption issue. ED officials in front of Kejriwal residence is corruption issue. But this is all in the show. Thank you all of you for joining me. Sonia in her statement saying that the party is being crippled by the ruling dispensation. In the on point 2, we are going to talk about the Supreme Court has suspended the centre's move to establish a fact-checking unit for regulating social media content related to government affairs. The government has put the notification setting up such a unit under Press Information Bureau on hold. The fact-check unit had been set up under the Information Technology Rules of 2021 by the Ministry of Electronics, and its aim is to identify fake news about the central government. A bench headed by Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud has ruled that setting up of the fact-check unit gives rise to questions related to Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution dealing with freedom of speech and expression. The Apex Court therefore set aside a decision of the Bombay High Court which had refused to stay the setting up of the FCU. Stand-up comic Kunal Kamra in the Editors Guild of India had challenged the move, saying it would encourage self-censorship by social media companies and create hurdles for free speech. Now, what are the implications of this order? How will the government now deal with fake news? What were the concerns related to implementation of the order? We will try and understand those questions, but let's listen in first to the legal stand that the court took.
Today, the Honorable Supreme Court, in a bench presided by the Honorable Chief Justice of India, has stayed the notification which was issued by the Government of India yesterday, establishing a fact-check unit, and it heard both the sides. We appeared for Editors Guild of India. There were other petitioners also before the court who were represented, and after hearing both the sides, the Supreme Court was of the prima facie view that there is a prima facie case for stay of the notification. Our main ground for challenge was that government cannot determine what is true about its own functioning. It is for the people of the country and for the journalists and the media to determine that. It is only through exercise of free speech and debate that the truth about the government comes out. In a democracy, the government cannot ordain and say, this is the truth about me, nobody else will circulate anything else.
And now it's time for on point 3. Delhi High Court denies interim relief from arrest to Arvind Kejriwal in liquor policy scam case, and now the police is there at his residence. Welcome back, and this is the third on point. And this is the third on point, which is a moving story. What happened in the day, which I mentioned in my tease, was during the day, and now a team of Enforcement Directorate officials at the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's residence with a search warrant. Yes, with a search warrant. At least 8 to 10 ED officials have reached Kejriwal's residence hours after Delhi High Court denied him any interim protection from arrest. The ED team will serve the will served the 10th summon to him in connection to the liquor policy scam case. Yes, 10th. And the High Court in this context refused to provide relief to Delhi CM on his plea seeking protection from coercive action by the ED for alleged irregularities in the formulation and implementation of the now defunct Delhi excise policy. Kejriwal had moved the Delhi High Court a second time in the last 3 days in connection with ED's 9 summons issued to him in connection with the excise case. So, issue is what is going to happen now with the ED officers there. So, there are two things. One, High Court decision, and the second, 8 ED officers. Brijesh, just enlighten me. Let's take these visuals full screen. This is from the house.
Yeah, this is the official residence of Delhi Chief Minister.
Please take me through.
This is the official residence of Delhi Chief Minister. You can clearly see that, DCP North has completely, they have barricaded the entire area, and the visual which we saw the first time was a gentleman sitting inside the car was Saurabh Bhardwaj, who had rushed to Arvind Kejriwal's residence, and he wanted to get in, but his car was stopped. He was not allowed to enter. I think, Kartikeya, what has happened is that today when the interim relief against any kind of coercive action was denied to him, I think the ED has decided that it's time for move in for the kill. They will serve 10th search warrant. They've served notice for Arvind Kejriwal to join them, and they are also, what we have been given to understand as of now about the reports or news which is coming out there, is that they might carry out search warrants here. Saurabh Bhardwaj is there right outside. Yeah, he's going to speak something on this.
प्रथम दृष्टया जिस तरह से पुलिस अंदर है और मुख्यमंत्री जी के निवास में किसी को जाने नहीं दिया जा रहा है, ऐसा लग रहा है कि मुख्यमंत्री जी के यहाँ रेड मारी गई है, और उनके मन में क्या है ये नहीं मालूम, बट ऐसा दिखता है कि मुख्यमंत्री जी को गिरफ्तार करने की पूरी तैयारी है।
तो क्या सर आज मुख्यमंत्री तो यहाँ पर आपने सौरभ भारद्वाज को सुना, जिन्होंने कहा कि मुख्यमंत्री अरविंद केजरीवाल को गिरफ्तार।
So the enforcement directorate team is at the Kejriwal's residence carrying out investigation. The police arrangement has been made. There are 8 to 10 officers. So there is one important thing. It's a search memo. It's not a arrest warrant.
Well, it's just the start. It's like you don't go with the arrest memo. What you do is that you go with the search and seizure, you talk to the person concerned, you conduct the investigation, you are questioning of the person concerned, and then you say that, you are not satisfied, and to conduct the investigation in a more deeper way, then you take the individual into custody. I don't think, I might be putting out my neck, that ED will arrest Arvind Kejriwal as we speak, because the tone and tenor of the ED was kind of different, when it was the High Court, where they did not say that they are going for the kill. And interestingly, ED
can you just elaborate on that? I think that's an important point.
Why? Because they said that right now we cannot guarantee, but we are saying that we have called you for investigation. We do not say that we are immediately moving in for arresting you. But what they said
did they say that?
No, I mean, this was the import of what they said in the court.
No, because this is a very important point you are making.
So, because, but they say that, all your intention is to arrest me rather than go for that. And, they made one very interesting disclosure today in the court, Kartikeya, and I think that will be a very important point throughout this investigation, is that they have served the summon to 9 summons, and if there's a summon, then 10th summon to Arvind Kejriwal in his private capacity. They have not served him as a convener of Aam Aadmi Party. They have not served him notice as the Chief Minister of Delhi. And I think, herein lies a puzzle, that, what could Arvind Kejriwal do in his private capacity as an individual to influence, what was going on, or how to influence the policy. So it's very, very interesting to see, how it pans out. But one thing is for sure, that tomorrow, first thing, Arvind Kejriwal, Aam Aadmi Party, is going to move the apex court, saying that, this is what they feared, this is what they moved the High Court for, and this is, Enforcement Directorate is kind of substantiating our fear, and they just want to arrest Arvind Kejriwal before this election.
So again, let me get back to this news that the heavy police deployment has taken place.
These are the ED officials.
And these are the ED officers?
Yeah, these are the ED officers who are standing there. I think,
Can you just take us to the difference between the visuals which we saw at Hemant Soren's residence and this residence.
Well,
Is there any difference?
Well, I think, there's a difference because Delhi is not a full state. So the police is not under you. In Delhi, the police is not under you. And in Jharkhand case, the police was under Hemant Soren. That is the reason why we saw the ED not being that, that coercive, or there was a massive police deployment which was acting at the orders of Hemant Soren when he was the chief minister. A case here in Delhi is completely different. The Delhi police reports to Ministry of Home Affairs, and the minister who heads this is Amit Shah. So there's going to be no support from the police. By support, I mean there's going to be no leniency, any kind of leniency from the police. Nobody will be allowed inside. If you had your own police, there might be chance that they might allow a couple of people to go inside, not interfere in the investigation directly, but at least have some sort of action. This is not going to happen there. And these are the visuals of these ED officers who are talking to the person concerned. I think that gentleman who is in the red shirt is the one who is receiving the notice from the enforcement directorate, because when you enter, you have to make a dual proper sarkari likha padi before you enter. So I think and this is exactly, see, you can see there that that is exactly what is happening. The entire area has been barricaded.
I think what I think is that the sort of prep which I saw at the Hemant Soren's residence is not here. The sort of prep that took place.
Well, because the police, as I said, there the police was under Hemant Soren. Here the police is under Amit Shah.
So you don't require that.
So you don't have the heft. If Delhi police had operated under Arvind Kejriwal, it would have been a completely different scenario.
Okay. Let's play out the bite of South.
पूरा का पूरा मामला था. हाई कोर्ट ने ईडी को समय दिया है 22 अप्रैल तक का कि आप अपना जवाब दाखिल करें कि अरविंद केजरीवाल की गिरफ्तारी क्यों ज़रूरी है. और अब जिस तरीके से ईडी अरविंद जी के घर में फ़िलहाल है, बाहर पुलिस का बड़ा बंदोबस्त दिख रहा है, घर के अंदर जाने की मनाही है, उनके फ़ोन से ना मुख्यमंत्री जी से ना उनके सचिव से कम्युनिकेशन नहीं हो पा रहा है. ऐसा लगता है कि ईडी वालों ने उनके फ़ोन्स वगैरह भी ले लिए हैं. पूरा का पूरा अंदेशा ये है कि अंदर रेड चल रही है और बहुत जल्द उनको गिरफ्तार करने वाले हैं. एक बात इससे साफ है, अगर प्रधानमंत्री जी को किसी से डर लगता है तो वो अरविंद केजरीवाल है. अगर नरेंद्र मोदी जी का विकल्प इस देश में कोई है तो वो अरविंद केजरीवाल हैं. अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को हो सकता है वो आज गिरफ्तार करेंगे, मगर हर गली में, हर मोहल्ले में, हर गांव में, हर कस्बे में अरविंद केजरीवाल की सोच वाले नए अरविंद केजरीवाल पैदा होंगे.
बीजेपी की तरफ से
और वो सोच जो है, उस सोच को आप गिरफ्तार नहीं कर सकते. अंग्रेज़ों ने भी बहुत लोगों को गिरफ्तार किया, 10-10 साल जेलों के अंदर रखा, हाउस अरेस्ट के अंदर रखा. अपने विरोधियों को आप जेल में डाल दें और अकेले ही चुनाव लड़ें, तो ऐसा प्रजातंत्र में होता नहीं है. ये सीधा सीधा एक अत्याचार है कि आप एक छोटी सी पार्टी, आप तो कहते हैं कि सुपारी जितनी पार्टी है, इतनी छोटी पार्टी है. जब इतनी छोटी, मैं आपसे बात नहीं कर रहा प्लीज, मैं PNI को बाइट दे रहा हूँ. जब इतनी छोटी पार्टी से इतना बड़ा डर है कि इनको गिरफ्तार ही करना है, कैसे भी गिरफ्तार करना है, तो ये बात आज जो है, इनका जो अत्याचार है वो आज पूरे देश और पूरी दुनिया के सामने आ गया है.
सर आपने अंदर जाने की, सर एक सवाल सर.
So the bottom line is that the Delhi police has gone there. The legal team of the Delhi government has gone to the Supreme Court.
No, Aam Aadmi Party.
Aam Aadmi Party has gone to the, yes.
They are likely to go to Supreme Court right now.
Will they be able to get the Supreme Court to do the job?
Well, I think, the Supreme Court has worked in the last several cases where we've seen that, whenever there is a question of this kind of thing which impinges on a person, life, right to life and right to liberty, then the Supreme Court has taken decision has agreed to hear. I think another half an hour we'll get to know whether the registrar of the Supreme Court agrees for an early hearing or not. But one thing is for sure, that tomorrow, if it doesn't happen tonight, the first thing which they are going to go tomorrow is appear before the Chief Justice and make a mention of what has happened. So it is going to be extremely interesting to see how it pans out. Will the Enforcement Directorate arrest Arvind Kejriwal is $1 million question, which everyone wants to know, because this is something which has been building up for a very long time.
When they went to Hemant Soren's residence, I don't recall, did they have the search and arrest warrant, or they only had search warrant?
Well, right now, it's very difficult.
Both of us were doing news at that point of time.
I agree. But, we can't say for sure whether right now, they had gone there for arrest warrant, because, if they want to arrest somebody, they can arrest somebody after a detailed round of questioning. They have more power. It's not like a normal police where, you have to operate. They have gone there with a search memo. They have questioned the individual and they said that they're not satisfied. That is the reason why they are placing him under arrest. So the same can be done with Arvind Kejriwal, but there also, he had evaded questioning for several rounds. But I think,
in your opinion, why did Kejriwal avoided going to Enforcement Directorate?
Well, honestly speaking, there is no direct reference to Arvind Kejriwal's name, and it has only come in, when K. Kavita's statement, or when K. Kavita was arrested, and there was a reference to Arvind Kejriwal that she was taking care of the South lobby, and as per the document submitted by the Enforcement Directorate, so she had met Arvind Kejriwal. That was where the first time the name of Arvind Kejriwal had cropped up. Today, the Enforcement Directorate had said that they have sent a summons to Arvind Kejriwal in his private capacity. Now, that's slightly baffling, but it'll be very interesting to see how it works out right now. 10-12 ED officers, they have gone inside. They would be searching the place of Arvind Kejriwal, Delhi Chief Minister, and in all likelihood, they are going to approach, Aam Aadmi Party is going to approach the Apex Court right now as we speak.
So I think the biggest development or the biggest story today is the ED search operation that is taking place, and the important thing is it's not a raid. Right now they have not said that they have come there with an arrest warrant. They have said that they have come there with a search warrant and they want to seize the material. Now ED has lot of powers. Brijesh, ED I suppose can pick up people if they want from anywhere. I think they are vested with such powers.
They have their offices in important zones. It's not like one unit has to do all the work, or like centrally forced. So they have the important in almost all the state units and all. And if they are carrying out investigation and all, as it happens with central agencies, the local unit or the local police has to help him if there is a problem, like as is one the case of Hemant Soren, as we were discussing. Then they can also seek support from the central paramilitary forces and all. Well, last time in Jharkhand there was a massive presence of CRPF, CISF guys, and so they can get that protection also. We saw in the case of Sandesh Khali, when they had gone there to arrest Shahjaz Sheikh. So that time also they were carrying, but that initially there was a lesser posse of CRPF individual. Next time they went, there were a large number of central police force there. So they are not directly dependent also on the police, depending on the situation.
But I think that it's a point to be debated that very important opposition leaders have been under the scrutiny of the Enforcement Directorate. K. Kavita has been arrested, Hemant Soren has been arrested, Arvind Kejriwal's residence is being searched, the former Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi is behind bars, I think for more than 6 months now, and there has been a little progress when it comes to his case, correct?
Well, absolutely. See, Karthikeya, it's a very strange case. The reason I'm calling it a strange case is that we have seen how if you go by the oral observations or the obiter dicta, as it is called, of the judges, they said something and they have acted something differently. So there is also a lot of double speak, if I may use the word, without insulting the lordships. When we remember when Manish Sisodia went for the bail, and the kind of dressing down Enforcement Directorate team received from Justice Sanjeev Khanna, people were aghast. Justice Sanjeev Khanna went on to make this observation that if approver is the only thing which you have got, your case is going to fall flat in 2 minutes. Next hearing, next date, he just based on the whatever.
Okay. The political analyst Bhanu Chandra also joins me. Bhanu, thank you for joining me on such a short notice. Sure. Bhanu, your opening comments on ED officers at Kejriwal's residence?
I think the long arm of the law has caught up with Kejriwal. Kejriwal can only evade the summons for so long. And I think it would have been prudent for him to appear for the summons earlier than closer to the elections. I think he made a political mistake. I think he got afraid looking at what happened to Sisodia and so on. But I think politically, it has not been going well for him. The series of bad news over the months has been accumulating and it has come to that. And I don't think people are going to have any sympathy at this point. Had he faced it earlier, and gone through it, then things might have been different. But I think he's going to lose politically because of this.
Better to be arrested right on the eve of the election rather than be arrested couple of months before and then having no role to play in the election formulation and strategy. Because I mean the people of Delhi. I mean I'm just being playing the devil's advocate. I mean the assembly elections.
Sure.
He is giving BJP perhaps the worst drubbings they have ever received, and BJP is a well-established party in Delhi.
See, that, I mean, the thing is there is something called the immediacy bias, right? If something happens recently, that event affects us more. So the closer he gets arrested to the elections, I think it is going to be disadvantageous for him. People might say that is going to create a sympathy factor extra, but I think this saga has been playing out for a long time. There have been other accused people that have been arrested, so I think it has already created this negative wave, and I think it is exacerbating Kejriwal's arrest. Just exacerbates those negative situations, I think.
But Bhanu, what is your assessment? Do you think it's going to be search operation today, or is it going to be search and arrest operation tonight?
Well, that's a very tricky question to answer, Karthikeya. I think based on the searches, I think
that's the joy of having a guest. That's the joy of having a guest.
So no, I think obviously the searches are going to happen first. Then let's see how I mean, I would put my bet on him getting arrested for the next couple of days, like it happened with Kavita. But whether it's going to happen today I do not have an answer.
So the bottom line is that it's all. I don't know, because the police will work, the ED will work, Aam Aadmi Party will work, journalists will work, but there's seriousness to this issue, and the issue is that most of this action is against the opposition leaders.
Well, yes.
There is no doubt about it. Let's put it in perspective. But we are not here to sit and pontificate, because there is a legality to what ED is doing. There is a law and order mechanism that is in action. But then journalists and other have the right to question that why this action has
there's a
substantially
legality. Nobody is saying that
encompassed only the opposition.
Nobody is saying that what ED is doing is illegal.
Correct.
But once the Kotwal only arrests my enemies and not me, or even doesn't even touch anybody, or people who were on their radar, or the intensity of the radar changes immediately once he switches sides, then the impartiality of ED comes under a big question mark. I mean, I don't know how it is going to play out politically, but if you ask me, I mean, the impartiality of Enforcement Directorate definitely comes under a big question mark, because it can't be that Brijesh Pandey is a thief one day and a saint next day just because he switched sides.
अरविंद केजरीवाल खड़े हो जाएंगे इस देश के संविधान को बचाने के लिए।
तो अभी क्या आप अंदर जा रही हैं? हो रहा है?
अभी तो देखिए अंदर जाने का सवाल नहीं है, अभी तो पुलिस यहाँ पे भारी संख्या में तैनात है, तो अभी हम यहीं पे इंतजार करेंगे।
अभी आएंगे क्या, और आप लोगों के नेता या कार्यकर्ता आ रहे हैं, खबर मिल रही जैसे
वो तो स्वाभाविक है। आप ऐसे लोकप्रिय मुख्यमंत्री को गिरफ्तार करने की कोशिश करेंगे तो मुझे पूरा भरोसा है कि पूरी दिल्ली भर से लोग आएंगे। दिल्ली के लोग अरविंद केजरीवाल से प्यार करते हैं। दिल्ली के लोग अरविंद केजरीवाल को अपना भाई मानते हैं, अपना बेटा मानते हैं, अपने परिवार का सदस्य मानते हैं, क्योंकि अरविंद केजरीवाल ने दिल्ली वालों की जिंदगी में आमूलचूल परिवर्तन किया है, और इसी वजह से मोदी जी को डर लगता है अरविंद केजरीवाल से।
So, Bhanu, what do you make of it? Nervousness?
See, there are two sides to the debate, right? And both you and Brijesh actually spoke on either side. See, this is the law we have right now, and if we have to change this law, then we go for that, either through activism or through legislative changes. But this is the law, and we have to respect the law. Like journalists and activists are like very right to question like whether there are errors of omission and commission. That is part of the public debate, but I think we should respect the law as it is right now.
So I would like to thank you, Bhanu. I would like to thank you, Brijesh.